Hello and welcome to Chronos Calculator. Chronos Calculator is a time and billing app brought to you by Studio 848 Incorporated. And what it does is provides time and billing information and invoice information for online calendars from Google and Microsoft. So we're going to show you how to use the app and how to enter data into your online calendar. And we're going to have demos for Microsoft and Google calendars. They're both on this video. So let's get started. Here's the home page of Chronos Calculator, and we can show the help file here. It's a good place to go if you're trying to learn how to use the app. Here's the help document. The introduction shows a few important things. One is we offer Chronos Calculator as a web application at the URL chronoscalculator.com. We also have an Android app in the Google Play Store. You can download for your Android device. And then we have some help videos, including this one on YouTube. You can go to the YouTube channel and listen to this video as many times as you'd like to learn about Chronos Calculator. So let's talk about the home screen here. First of all, you click here to start. Again, we showed the help file if you want more info. So when you start the app, you have to. We provide a free sample, free trial of the app. You can use as much as you'd like to check it out. Once you start using the app for real, then we need an email address from you, which you're going to use to log on to Chronos Calculator. So let's do that. Let's log on right here. We already have a demo account set up. At this point, you see the choices of calendars. Let's take a look at the subscription information here, so you can see basically to show you what your email address is, what kind of subscription you have. This is just a one-day free trial, and you can cancel your subscription at any time for any reason. We have some very reasonably priced subscription plans to offer. So let's go for it. Go back. So let's start the demo with Google. So this is when you try to connect to your Google Calendar, you have to log on to it. And again, all this work is done by Google. We just redirect to that website to defer to them as far as security goes. We don't store any of your information. All that information is stored on Google as far as your account goes. So let's log into our account. If you successfully log on, you come back to Chronos Calculator and you'll see where you've been marked as connected, so you're in. So this is the main view of Chronos Calculator. It's very, very simple. We try to keep it simple. From the top down, you see there's buttons on top which allow you to load events from your calendar, to see an invoice view of these events, whatever you have that you're looking at in the table here, and also to download the data. The middle here is a date range picker. So this is basically when you set the date range that you'd like to use for loading events from your calendar, your Google Calendar, Microsoft Calendar. And we have our demo data loaded in at January 1st, 2020. Then the table view here, it's the main view of the data, and it's with respect to where you're at in the app. Right now, you're seeing all of the sub calendars in your Google Calendar, for instance. Right, and we're gonna drill into the Chronos Calc demo to show you that. Then down below, at the very bottom of the page, you can specify how many items you'd like per page of the table, and you can search. It's a little quick search bar here for whatever you'd like. It'll as you're typing, it'll show you what matches whatever you're searching for. That's handy. Okay, so let's load some data. We have a date range, and let's just load some data from the calendar. So that's how long it took. What the app did is went out and queried Google for all the events in your calendar from that date range that you picked. And we have some to take a look at. All right, so again, I'll do that again, you can drill down through this information. So this is a top level view of the sub calendars you have in Google. And then we drilled into the Chronos Calc demo calendar. And now we see a list of groupings of the events, all the events in the calendar, and they're grouped by attendees of whatever meetings, whatever events you have in your calendar. You can drill down into the events themselves. So this is a listing of all events, and this is some important stuff. All of these columns can be sorted increment in either ascending or descending order or no order. So if you want to order by date, name, whatever you'd like, you can see what your biggest charge is, etc. So let's go back. Let's order it like a normal invoice would be ordered from from first to last date. These are all on the same day. So you can display the date format either as just the day of the month, or you can also include a time as well. So depending on what you need there, you can display either or. We're gonna keep the time in here because that's relevant. We only have several hours worth of events on one day. Okay, so the table pretty much shows you everything you need to know about those events as far as invoices go. It's the date they occurred, the description, the subject, the name of the event in your calendar. That's what you entered. How long it lasted, what the cost is, either fixed rate, fixed fee or hourly rate, and then what the total charge would be for the event. At the bottom of the table, you see a total showed. It just sum up the durations and the total charge. All right, so we want a more clean view of this to create an invoice. So let's click on the invoice button here. And as you can see, what's displayed cleans up considerably. You have a header area, and we'll talk about where this information comes from, all these header fields, what your company is, who you're billing, whatever you'd like to put for account info, and an invoice number. And so that's what the invoice would look like. All right, so we need to communicate this information with other people. So there's a couple ways to do this. You can print this as a PDF, and we can either, again, print it to a printer, or you can save it as a PDF for emailing information. PDFs work great. So that's what it would look like. And you could save it, attach it to an email, or whatever you'd like to do with it. The other thing you can do is you can download this data. So that's the invoice view. If you click on the back button up here, you'll go back to what the previous view was. A little more information here. If you click on any of these events, you'll see more information about the event. All right, so whatever row you click on here, you'll see information about the event, including what was in the description field and who, if any, other people attended the event with you. Okay, so the other way you can get information from Chronos Calculator is you can download it. So there's a few different formats: CSV, comma, separated values, to email to people or to load into spreadsheets and do accounting with. You can download other formats as well. The JSON format is a very popular format nowadays, or it is a plain text file. Plain text looks very much like a CSV file. Okay, so that's as easy it is to use the app. We tried to keep it simple. And now we're going to go into your online calendars to show you where this information comes from and what fields you can enter into your calendars to customize these invoices. For instance, the header fields on this invoice. So before we go into Google and Microsoft Calendar, let's take a look at the help file for a couple of basic concepts. Again, this is our help file. I want to talk about two areas. One is time, billing, and invoices. So what are we doing here? We're trying to create an invoice or a nice looking document or the data that we can use to bill people for our time. So there's three things here. One, time, you enter your events as normal, as you would in your online calendar. right? Start and stop times, and if you have a events lasting all day, that will be of a duration of 24 hours. So that's time. The billing part is hourly rates versus fixed fees, right? So again, hourly rates is an hourly charge. A fixed fee is a fixed amount you would charge for an event. All right. So if you have a 30-minute meeting with somebody at $22 per hour, that would be $11 owed you. Fixed fees you can set to any number. If you have a 30-minute meeting with a rate of $75, you'd have a flat fee of 75 bucks. So again, Chronos Calc goes in, searches your calendar and these events for information. And the other part is invoice. Now for Google, you can have a lot of, using Google Calendar, you can add information to the Google Calendar description. The Chronos Calc will read and use that to display the header on the invoice that I showed you a little while ago. Okay, so that's time, billing, and invoices, right? And the other thing I wanted to talk about simply is how you do this, right? So we have the notion of name value pairs. How do you enter information in your calendar that Chronos Calc will use, which is simple equations, right? And we have defined specific words we look for. For instance, if you're using an hourly rate, we look for the word rate somewhere in the event or its description, and then the equal sign and whatever the rate's going to be. So if you want a $22 rate, it would look like this. Rate equals $22. You can put that in the events. I'll show you where to put those when I get to the demo data. If you have more than one of these name value pairs in one field, you separate them by semicolons. All right. So that's what I was describing. Most only have one, but sometimes, for instance, for the invoice fields, there's more than one field in the Google Calendar description. Okay. So, and these invoice fields are a little more complicated, but we just use a two-part phrase separated by a period. So invoice.from would be the billing company name. Invoice.from, etc. would be more information there, and I'll show you what this looks like. Invoice.to would be who are you going to be billing. That's the billed company name, etc. It's got another field you can put anything you want in, and then we even have a field for the title of the invoice. So if you don't like the word title, you can do something else. Okay, so let's take a look at the Google Calendar events we're talking about here. So here's the Google Calendar, your Google Calendar, mine in this case. And here are the events that we've entered. Again, where this demo is on January 1, 2020, which would be last year. And here are the events that we have in the calendar. We're going to take a look at those and see how their billing information is set up. And these correspond to the events that are listed in Chronos Calculator in tabular form that you can use for invoices. So that's that. Here they are in your Google Calendar. And when you load them into Chronos Calculator, here they are with time and billing totals. So let's take a look at the calendar setup for that. Get there, set up in Google. Here we are. Let's pick the calendar we're talking about. Chronos Calculator demo. Okay, so here's the information that we want to look at for the calendar we're using right now. Again, you can add calendars to this collection in Google and use them for anything you'd like, for services that you offer, different rates, different fee amounts, whatever you'd like. You can. It's a very powerful and simple way to organize your billable hours. So a couple things to say here. One is we display whatever name is you use for your calendar, and you can also set the rate field here if you'd like, using a name value pair in the name of the calendar. There's two places to put the default that we're going to use for as the default for all of the entries, the events in this calendar. If you don't set any other information about billing at the event level, we're going to use whatever you've initialized at the calendar level. So right now, the way this calendar is set up, we have an hourly rate of $22 per hour for every entry in it. And then the rest of these fields briefly are all of the header fields in the invoice that you're going to be creating. So you can specify whatever you'd like here for, what your company name is, any more information you want to give, who you're billing, um, account information, et cetera, in this extra ATC field, and another title for the actual Word invoice if you'd like. So if you take a look at this, you go back and look at the invoice view, all those fields that I just talked about that are in the Google Calendar description are displayed in your invoice header. So you can come up with nice headers simply. So that's how to set up your calendar, your Google Calendar, to make this work. So now we're gonna drill in again. Here's the settings for your calendar we just discussed. Let's go back and take a look at these. So when they're loaded into Chronos Calculator, you can click on these rows and take a look at what's there. So again, if there's no fixed fee or hourly rate information in the event itself, the default for the calendar will be used. If you can put a fixed fee in the title. So right here we have the fee equals 66 in the title, and that will be what was used for this event. Again, in the title, an hourly rate, we have rate equals 77, so that's an hourly rate example. You can also put that if you don't want it in the title of the event, the meeting, etc. You can put it in the description of the event. Again, the way this works is if you don't have any information in the event itself, whatever fixed fee or hourly rate you set for the calendar will be used for all of these things. But you can override that at the event level, which makes this really flexible. Okay, you can also put that information in the description field of the calendar event. Again, right here we just put in fee equals $33, and that's what's going to be used for this event. Here's an event with an hourly rate of 44. And we have a few events again that we booked with these attendees. So whoever you are doing the work with or you invited to your meeting will be listed here. So you can see, again, this is the listing of all events, and you had a couple with those too. You don't have any information, any billing information for those sets, so in the events, so the default for the calendar will be used there. One thing to talk about there, if you go up one level, you'll see that these events are sorted by attendees. So again, we have, if you want to bill for a specific attendee, you can do that. They're grouped by attendee. You can sort by date and create an invoice for this person right from this view of the information. Okay, so that's summarizes how you use Google Calendar with Chronos Calc. So let's talk about Microsoft Calendar. Let's go back here, back up to the listing of calendars, and let's log on to Microsoft. Now, the first time we logged on to Google, we had to enter our username and password. But after you do that, then it's part of your browser session, so you don't have to do it again. We've already logged on to Microsoft, so we're going to connect to Microsoft and load information from that calendar without having to re-enter our username and password. So that makes it easy to just jump back on Chronos Calculator and keep doing work with whatever calendar you were using. So let's drill into Microsoft. We have the same date range listed. Okay, and now you can see we have these calendars in our Microsoft calendar. You can add calendars similarly in Microsoft and Google. And this is the one we're going to be using for our demo. So one thing to note about Microsoft is it does not have a description field at the calendar level. It does in its events, but the Google Calendar had a description field that for the calendar itself. Microsoft doesn't. So that means a couple things. One is you can still have a default rate or fee for the calendar. You just have to put it in the name of the calendar itself for Microsoft. Second thing, because there's no description field, you can't put that rate or fee in that field. And also, it can't be used for invoice header fields. So that's the difference between the two calendars. So let's load data. Again, we're interested in this calendar that we've set up for this demo data on January 1st, 2020. Let's load the events. And it's going to look very similar to the Google display. All right, so here we are. Same deal, right? You can put if you don't have information at the event level, it'll be using the default set for the calendar. You can set them in right in the title or in the description if you'd like. Very similar. Works the same for either calendar here at the event level. And we have a couple of events that we've listed. One thing to be said for Microsoft is there's another nice way of specifying billing information, your billable fee or rate, and that Microsoft supports the notion of categories in their calendars, so you can associate events with specific categories, right? So we've done that here. This fixed fee event right here, the category that's associated with, again, you could have a longer name if you need engineering R&D space fee equals $33, and so that's another way of setting a default billable amount for these events from Microsoft. You can either have it in the name of the calendar itself, or you can use these other categories that they provide. So that I would propose using categories because it's more flexible. You can see which events you have associated with specific category fees. You can add fees for whatever type of service you'd like. So, right. So that's a nice way of doing it. If you take a look at also how we show the data, we show all events that I've been describing, but we also show the events that are grouped by fee. So in this case, you could show the events. We only have one for the demo, but you could have as many as you'd like that's associated with this fixed fee event. Pardon me, with this fixed fee, and that's how they look. So very flexible way. Another way of looking at billing information inside Microsoft Calendar. Let's take a look at the information in Microsoft real quickly. Here's the calendar I was talking about, Microsoft Outlook calendar. And here are all the events that we were looking at in Chronos Calculator. Here they are listed in the calendar itself. So that's pretty much how it works in Microsoft. Again, keep in mind the use of categories when you decide how to store your billing information in your calendar. So that's it. That's our walk through Chronos Calculator. We're proud of the product. It's easy to use. It can allow you to generate time and billing and invoice information from your online calendars, the best calendars in the world from Google and Microsoft. So thanks for your time and good luck.